have a question for you, but you have to think of an answer very quickly, okay? So, every time you're on your phone on an app that you use daily, can you think of three instances when you are not being pushed to buy something? It is hard, right? As our attention becomes scarcer, companies are going to greater and greater lengths to capture it. 2.5 seconds. 2.5 seconds is all that it takes for an advertisement to catch your attention. And you know what is the hottest real estate for advertisements in India right now? Quick commerce apps. Blinkit, Swiggy, Zepto, etc., etc. In fact, let me open Blinkit on my phone right now and see what's going on. Right. So, Match Time Madness, powered by Lay's and Coca Cola right on top. Now I'm scrolling down. Celebrate Navratri, gift books to your little ones, Durex, supplements, beat the summer heat, powered by Cetaphil. Okay, let's go to Swiggy. Right on top, I am seeing Mega Savings Festival, powered by Dawat, Dove, HSBC, and Beam. HSBC and Beam?
I saw an ad for this dental checkup service on when I was ordering, I think maybe on Instamart or Zepto or one of the apps. And I was just wondering, right? Like, it's obviously not like I can have a dentist come to my house in 15 minutes or whatever and check my teeth, right? So why is this ad?
That was my colleague, the Ken reporter Gaurav Bagur. And he went down a rabbit hole to understand why we are seeing so many ads on these apps, often for things that they can't even sell to us. Turns out, Blinkit, Zepto, and Swiggy have become prime real estate not just for your regular FMCG brands, but also for financial services, stock trading apps, and even real money gaming platforms. The top three players are already making 3 to 3,500 crore rupees in annual ad revenue. And that, dear listeners, is about half of what Amazon India made from ads in financial year 2024, despite having way more users. So, in today's episode, I picked Gaurav's brain about how quick commerce apps in India have become the new battleground for ad money and your attention span. Welcome to Daybreak, a business podcast from the Ken. I'm your host, Snigdha Sharma, and I don't chase the news cycle. Instead, every day of the week, my colleague Rahil Philippos and I will bring you one business story that is worth understanding and worth your time. Today is Thursday, the 3rd of April. Gaurav, thank you so much for joining us. And I was just thinking, it's so interesting what you said earlier, about the ad that you saw for dental checkups. Because, when anyone sees an advertisement on a quick commerce apps, like you immediately expect, whatever service or product is being offered, it will come to you in 10 or 15 minutes, right? That is the promise. But something else seemed to be playing out on these apps right now, and that too in quite a big way. And we are seeing what you call non-endemic ads, right, in your story. And these are things that you can't actually buy on the platform. So I can you begin by telling us what is the big draw here for these advertisers?
Right. So the interesting thing about quick commerce is that there's a lot. Well, first of all, there's obviously just a lot of people increasingly using them. There, it's a high growth space. It's growing hugely, like month on month. But apart from that, it's not just high volume, right? You also have high frequency. You're opening the same app, Zepto or Blinkit or Instamart, multiple times a week to order groceries, order snacks if you're hanging out with your friends on the weekend, order a birthday gift if there's a party you have to go to and you forgot and you realize you want to get something at the last minute. So this combination of high volume, high frequency, and high repeat usage, right? There's a lot of users aren't just using it once or twice; they're using it repeatedly. So that's something which is a huge draw for advertisers, right? And the other aspect is also the kind of user profile, right? These are consumers who are based in metros. They're comfortable spending a certain amount of their disposable income on convenience, right? The convenience seekers. very familiar with online transactions. These are all like indicators of affluence that an advertiser would love to see, because these guys are spending real money. They're not just searching for something. Uh, they're not just engaging, right? They're spending money.
Right. That makes sense. But what about e-commerce websites like Amazon, or for that matter even Google, because we also use these apps quite often, right? What is quick commerce offering to advertisers that is so different?
Right. So when you order on Amazon or Flipkart, right, you don't really keep the app open or keep the website open after you place your order. You just close the app and go on with your day. But the thing with quick commerce, something that these platforms noticed is that your order is coming in like 15 minutes, right? What are you going to do in that space of time? You don't really. It's not really enough for you to go and watch TV or something. Um, so generally, what happens with quick commerce apps is that they saw that users are just looking at the order tracking screen, right? You're watching the little delivery guy's icon, go to the dark store, go from the dark store towards your house. Okay, he's 500 meters away. Now he's 100 meters away. So that spending that extra time on the order tracking screen actually makes a lot of difference. It's extra attention that you're giving the app, right? And that's something which these platforms realized, hey, we can monetize this, right? We can carve out some space on the screen and sell that space to advertisers, and they know that the user is going to be keep looking at that order tracking screen and look at their ads.
Got it. So now, if we can flip this around a little bit, we know that these apps, Blinkit, Zepto, Swiggy, while they're doing really well, they're also burning a huge amount of money. So, can you tell us why ad revenue is turning out to be this big ray of hope, almost, for these platforms?
So ad revenue is hugely profitable. Like the margins are more than 90-95%, something like that. That's because there's no operational or logistical cost associated with showing more ads, right? It's screen real estate. There's no limit on that resource, right? It doesn't cost anything for the company to show you something extra on your screen. It's practically free. Of course, there's a little bit of tech cost involved, but it's largely it's nearly zero incremental cost.
Right. Now, Gaurav, coming back to these brands, this feels like this huge change that is happening in the nature of advertising itself, right? And you explained this even in your story about the marketing funnel, how it starts with billboards and TV ads at the top, to build brand awareness, and then it kind of ends with sponsored listings at the bottom, targeting customers who are ready to buy. So traditionally brands have shaped their ad strategies around this model, right? But quick commerce is kind of changing the game, and even though it currently you mentioned this in your story, I think it accounts for less than 5% of ad budgets. Brands are allocating money for quick commerce advertising. So can you tell us how brands are adapting their strategies to this new opportunity that has kind of opened up?
Yeah, so I think quick commerce is a very interesting experimental channel for a lot of brands, right? Earlier, if you're spending like a huge chunk of your digital marketing budget, you're probably spending that on channels like Google and Meta, and that takes up like the huge bulk of your marketing budget. Quick commerce is and that's changed now, right? Quick commerce is now it's not huge, but it's and given that it's only been like maybe 1.5 to 2 years since quick commerce really took off, the share that it has taken is something like 2 to 3%, if I'm not wrong, and that's quite significant, right? Because these are and the companies that spend this kind of money have huge budgets, right? That's going to be in like hundreds of crores each.
Right. Gaurav, also, you spoke about how often we use these apps and what these brands and these apps are actually looking at in our usage patterns, right? Can you talk a little bit more about trackability and, also the kind of engagement metrics that these quick commerce apps use and they use to sell also to brands?
Right. So with quick commerce, right, you're seeing users who actually spend money on something. So the platform has data on where and how these users are transacting, right? And that has a lot more, that's a tighter link to what the users interests are, which means that advertisers can target users better with the kind of ads they run, right? So if you're an advertiser and you're running ads on Google, right, you're trying to guess what a user is interested based on what they're searching for. If you're running ads on Instagram, you're trying to guess, okay, if this user follows, these profiles of like influencers or brands, right, they're probably interested in this, but you don't know if they're well positioned to spend money on those things, right? With quick commerce, that's different, right? You have a much clearer idea of what kind of user a person is because you know what they're spending money on, right? Just because someone is following a beauty influencer, that doesn't necessarily mean that they're going to spend a lot of money on beauty products, right? But Blinkit knows who's buying makeup, who's buying lipstick.
Yeah, true. But, despite this, not all advertisers are entirely satisfied, right? I remember you quoted this marketing guy in your story who said, their company has run ads on two big quick commerce platforms, but there is still this issue of attribution that keeps coming up. And then the Zepto executive told you that this attribution problem is not probably not going to be solved anytime in the near future. So tell me more about this attribution problem, and what is the incentive for quick commerce platforms to actually try and solve this problem, because I'm assuming this would involve them spending money, and that is something that will affect their profit margins, and obviously they don't want that, right?
So the problem of attribution is like, so if you're an advertiser, right, and say you have, a personal loaner, right, and you want to measure engagement, you look at, how many users have downloaded my app, how many have, signed up and are trying to take a loan, things like that, right? But the issue is, how do you trace that back to this user saw my ad that I was running on Blinkit or Zepto, right? That's a really difficult problem to solve. It's difficult for any platform. The reason quick commerce apps have been struggling with this is largely because they are new to this game, right? Like we talked about, that this has only really been a business for a very short period of time, right? Compared to Amazon and Google, they've been doing this for years and years, right? But it's so, in a sense, this is something that is really difficult for any platform to solve. But if quick commerce apps really want to ramp up their ad revenue, and that's something they need, right? Because they're burning money like crazy. But as we talked about, ads are a huge, a high margin source of revenue, right? So if you want to give advertisers more confidence in scaling up the amount of money that they're spending on your platform, you have to work towards fixing this, right? And as you have more advertisers coming in and being more willing to spend money on this, they'll have to start working on solving these, building the kind of solutions that enables advertisers to have more confidence in spending money on the platform.
Right. Okay. So, one last question, Gaurav. I want to know about how all of this is going to impact the user experience of using these apps. We are already seeing so many ads pop up. When you look for something on Blinkit or Zepto or Swiggy, there's already so much sponsored stuff that keeps coming up. You almost have to pay extra attention sometimes to sift through and find what you're actually looking for. So, yeah.
Right. I think that's a little bit of a difficult question to ask because obviously there are a lot of smart product people working at these companies, right? They're hugely attractive to talent, and I'm sure they also know that customer experience is something that really matters if you want to keep growing as a product, right? But you're right. There is a trade-off between showing more ads and earning more revenue, and also worsening the experience of the customer. That's the tightrope that these platforms have to walk, right? And I think that's why you might end up seeing more ads, but maybe a way to sort of ride that tightrope is to get better at showing you more relevant ads, right? If you don't show like 100 more ads, but instead you keep the number of ads, get better at showing more relevant ads that your users are more likely to find useful, it's going to nudge them to make more purchases, or they're going to engage with those ads more. That's a win-win for the user, the advertiser, and the platform.
That's all for today, dear listeners. Do tell me the answer to the question that I asked you at the beginning of this episode. I'll repeat it again. Think of times when you're on your phone every day and give me three instances when no one is trying to sell you anything. You can send your answers to our WhatsApp number at 89711 I'll repeat that again, 89711 Also, if you have questions for Gaurav, you can send them on the same number as a voice note or as a text message. I'll have him answer them for you in next Tuesday's episode. Just write quick commerce ads at the beginning of your message so I can tell that it is about this episode. Also, thanks for tuning in. And if you like this episode, please send it to your friends and family who you think will find this interesting.
Daybreak is produced from the newsroom of The Ken, India's first subscriber-focused business news platform. What you're listening to is just a small sample of our subscriber-only offerings. A full subscription unlocks daily long-form feature stories, newsletters, and podcast extras. To subscribe, head to theken.com and click on the red subscribe button on top of the Ken website. Today's episode was hosted by Snigdha Sharma and edited by Rajiv CN.